Hello everyone, my name is Alexandra, and in today's video we are going to do a mid-year check-in as far as my reading, and I am going to be featuring my reading journal. This is a drawing that is still in process. I'm still working on it. This is supposed to be a library. These are some books that I own, whether I own the physical copy, the audiobook, or the ebook that I still want to read. And this is my bookshelf. These are the books that I've read so far through July, and hopefully we'll get to fill it up by the end of the year. This is my reading tracker. My goal is to read 80 books in 2021. So far, I have read 44 books. That is including some books for the month of July. And this is another type of tracker where I have my physical audiobooks, ebooks, whether I borrow them or I own them. And these are different titles that I can find through my library or books that I own. So for the month of January, we have a list of books that were in my radar and some of the books that I finished that month. One of the first ones I read was Holopox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow. This is the third book in the Nevermore series, written by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade fantasy. The next book that I have here is A Promised Land by Barack Obama. This is a book I have not finished yet, but I'm taking it slow. I feel like this is a book that I can almost just take in sections because it is a big book. It's 701 pages, and there's a lot of detail about the politics, about his time in the White House. So I feel like this is a good book to take in sections and not overwhelm myself trying to read it all in one go. The next book I have here is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is her memoir. And in this memoir, she describes an abusive same-sex relationship she had in the past. Her book is divided almost into like short stories, and it has been described almost as a horror stories. Next, I have How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. This, I listened to the audiobook. I borrowed it from my library, and I think this is a very good book to actually have as physical, because there's a lot of things that I would like to annotate and go back and reread. This is one of those nonfiction books that it's a good idea to have in to try to get as much as you can from the physical copy, and like I said, go back and reread it. Next I have here Separated is Never Equal. This is the story of Sylvia Mendes and her family, and this is actually the first court case against the segregation in schools. This is a picture book, and this actually, it says right here that this happened in 1947. This is 7 years before the Supreme Court ruling in Brown versus the Board of Education that ended segregation in schools across America. The next book I have here is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. This is a memoir, and it's in verse. It's poems that she wrote about her childhood. Think about my grandpa, because she has a few poems about her grandfather, and it just made me think about my own. So the next book I have is Casas Vacías by Brenda Navarro. This is a book that has been translated. I believe it's Empty Houses, and this is a heartbreaking book throughout. It's very short. It's 96 pages long, but it is heartbreaking. It begins with a missing child, and it explores the motherhood through the eyes of the mother whose child is missing, and also through other characters that come along. The next book I have here is Stamped by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi, and this is the young adult version of Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. I am in the process of reading this one, but as you can see, this is a lot bigger. And since it's the adult version, it's a lot more detailed. But Ibram X. Kendi decided that he wanted to have a young adult version and partnered with Jason Reynolds to come up with this one. And I just decided to read this one first. This is a nonfiction book that details historic events that were maybe brushed through or maybe not mentioned at all in through our education in the US, and I think it's really important to have for young kids. I would like to say that this should be a required reading. The next book I have here is one of the good ones, and I listened to this one through my library as an audiobook. This one was really good. It just, the ending had me, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that, so I still don't know how to feel about it. The next book I have here is Amari and the Night Brothers, and this is a middle grade fantasy book. The author is B.B. Austin, and the next book is supposed to come out next year, so I cannot wait for the next one. But anyway, Amari is 13 years old. She is looking for her brother that went missing, and unfortunately the police are not really looking into it. They think that maybe he just ran away or he got involved with the wrong people. So it is up to her to try to find what happened to him. Not sure what happened to my audio on this section, but I'm talking about Yo Julia by Santiago Posteguillo. This is a historical fiction. Unfortunately, as it has not been translated yet to English, but also I read it in Spanish. And I really enjoyed this historical fiction. We follow Julia and her determination to make her husband the next emperor of Rome. It is very detailed in their battle scenes, their strategies, which is something that I really enjoy in these type of historical fictions. And there's a sequel. This is a duology, so there's a sequel to this one, and I'm excited to read that one, as well as reading more from this author, because I like his style of writing, and I'm interested to see his other work in the near future. Alright, the next book I have is Akata Witch by Nadia Korafor. I hope I'm saying that right. I am so sorry if I'm not saying this correctly. This is a middle grade fantasy book about Sunny, and her family moves from New York to Nigeria. For the first time I read it, I listened to the audiobook, but then I decided to get my own copy because it is good. I started annotating. There's some annotations here. Oh, I started using washi tape here to do some annotations. I've seen this somewhere before, and I thought it was really cute to use washi tape for annotations. Next book I read was An Unkindness of Ghosts by River Solomon. This is a reread for me. The first time I read it was I borrowed the ebook through my library, but then the second time I decided to get the ebook because Erica from The Broken Spine here on YouTube was doing a slow read. She created a Discord and she had live discussions. This is one of my most favorite classics that I've ever read. This is a Mexican classic, Como Agua para Chocolate, or in English is Like Water for Chocolate. This has been translated to English and to many other languages. This is a story of a family in Mexico in the 1920s during the Mexican Revolution, and it's just basically the story of Tita. Tita is the youngest of 3 sisters, and according to family tradition, she has to stay home and take care of her mother until the day she died. Next I have the Broken Earth trilogy. This is also a reread for me. I am rereading it because Chloe from the YouTube channel 3 Still in Verse is having a slow read of this trilogy. This is Mañana Land. I try to recreate the cover as well. I listened to this one on audiobook, and this is by Pam Munoz Ryan. This is a middle grade, and I feel really proud of my drawing, even though looking at the trees now, they don't look anything like it, but I'm still really proud of my recreation. The next book I have here is Emergency Skin. This is by N.K. Jemisin, the same author as the Broken Earth trilogy. This is a short story, sci-fi. And that is it for my reading journal. But yeah, if you would like to see more of my different journals, also let me know in the comments below and I'll be glad to share them. Thank you.